Action or versus inner communion. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Last week we contemplated the well-known story of Martha and Mary. Traditionally, this story has been offered to show the two classic approaches to salvation. The first through action, and the second through prayer. The excuse of the Marthas of this world has always been the Church needs its Marthas too. Treatises, moreover, have been written to justify the Martha approach to pity, praising her self-sacrifice as perhaps and every higher demonstration of devotion. Thus too, the unmeditative workers in religion try to justify themselves. Yet the fact remains that Jesus rebuked Martha elsewhere. Moreover, he spoke of the virtue of feeding the hungry, curing the sick, and housing those that were homeless. It wasn't that he disapproved of serving people. Wrong attitude was the objective of criticism. What he was criticizing was forgetfulness of the true goal of right spiritual action. Good deeds outwardly without inner communion with God will result in good karma, but will not bring final freedom from all karma. The path to inner freedom was described by Paramahansa Yogananda in these words: be always calmly active and actively calm. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter, he who is not shaken by anxiety during times of sorrow, nor elated during times of happiness, who is free from egoic desire and their attendant fear and anger, such an one is of steady discrimination. Do your duty in life, so counsels this great scripture elsewhere, but never lose sight of him to whom all actions should be dedicated. Thus, through holy scriptures, God has spoken to mankind. Today, for this Sunday service dedicated to Swami, we will be three to speak, to share with you experiences and stories of Swami. JAYADEV, NARYA and I would like to share with you something from our visit in Ananda village not long ago. Where all the story of Ananda started. The first experience I wanted to share with you is the image that came to me in my mind while Jayadev and I were meditating in these woods that are so immense, like they are in the United States. And I had this image of Swami Kriyananda in 1967 when he had just bought the land for this community without having the money to pay it, without having a job that could have him earn the money to pay this debt, without having any capacity to build houses or a community, without having people around him. Only Jyotish was with him at that point. And he had said, yes, I will help you with this project. And so I imagined this man, and I felt how big a person, a disciple, must be to transform these woods in an appropriate village and community, in spiritual movement, and this moved me. This image and this thought moved me profound, deeply. And it also had me remember something that Swami had said to me many years ago when we were talking about the attitudes, spiritual attitudes in a spiritual path. And he had said it's good to be rebellious and not to have everyone to have the same mind and head. He said, I am as well rebellious, but I am rebellious with a cause, not without a cause. And this was the greatness, to remain always original and authentic, faithful to himself, but at the same time constantly in line with his cause and mission that Master had given to him. This is what gave him the strength to do what he could, what he did. And this is the example for all of us, to find our spiritual cause, and each one of us in our own way to feel that in tune with this, the strength will come to be able to realize everything. The second experience was to visit Crystal Hermitage, that is the home, the house that Swami built with others on the second land he bought, and that's where Ananda village is. And this house that was built in many years, that has become so harmonious and beautiful. It was an example of how Swami lived his life. He wanted consciously his house, as all his opera, would reflect the principles on which he lived. That means expansion, light, and beauty. And what this really demonstrates, because this place is there for the community, is this desire of Swami to share with everyone everything he had. And it's very visible, the beauty and the care for every detail. And that is also another message that Swami had given to me. When many years ago I started to translate his books, I asked, give me guidelines. What are the priorities in translating your books? And he said, even a comma matters. Total attention to details. Spirituality did not mean to have a head in the clouds. It meant concreteness, being concrete, and awareness in everything he would do. And this was very evident in his books. I don't know if you have seen pages that he would edit. He would already write from the first draft. They were already marvelous and of high consciousness in the form and in the content. And he would many times edit new old books and correct with much care every detail, every word. This was also a very important example for us, to have in every detail of our life awareness of how we want to bring out our life. And the other experience was the Moksha Mandir. It's another place that it was built in 2015 to receive the body of Swami Kriyananda. He wanted not to be cremated, but his body should be put in this place, because the bodies of people that have arrived to very high states of consciousness, they keep high vibrations for everyone. And it's a little temple where you can meditate, and it's small. It's wonderful experience because you can breathe and perceive, as Premi was saying yesterday, in your spine the divine, deep calmness and love that characterized Swami Kriyananda's life. And it has to do with the writing of with the text of today. He manifested in all his intense activity, every day and night. He was all in peace, in balance. Another message that he gave us was one day I was very busy in translating, because when Swami was here we would always run so much and work so much to help him launch the books, and I was working on 2 books at the same time, and I was at one point where I was not centered, running in this. And I went to him and I said, "I'm sorry, Swami, what do I have to do? I don't know how to stay centered." And he said, "Let that peace be the baseline of your life. I do not let anything to take away my inner peace." This was the most important thing. And many times we do this error. I have to do so much right now. When we would say that, he would do much more from a center of inner peace. If not, he would not do. That this does not mean we have to become lazy, but it's a stimulus for us that it's not just to do, but to do as a manifestation of this consciousness. And in this Moksha Mandir, you actually meditate on top of Swami's body that is in a crypt, and you can perceive this immense peace, deep peace, because it's like if in this place his Swami's life and service would close a circle. It is the same wonderful view of these woods, and when you open your eyes after you finish meditating, you have this window and you feel like you are flying in these woods, like if Swami would have conquered through his attunement and his service this freedom to fly in the sky, as if he would say to all, if you, even you, find your cause, and if you bring it forward with attention and with awareness in every detail, if you will cultivate the peace in your heart while you get in tune with your master, then you will also be able to fly in the skies of freedom. Thank you, Swami, for your example and all these messages. Hello, everyone. I would like to share one aspect of Swami that for me was one of the most important. Swami as a yogi, great saints, as he said so, live in a different way inwardly. They live with a great Shakti, great energy. And Yogananda says that our body is, a normal body is like a 50-watt light bulb. A saint that connects to God is like millions of watts. And these watts have an incredible power inside. And they don't realize, they don't activate it just when they want to activate them. So when Swami wanted to, there were some moments where he would just have all this energy. And we have so many stories. I can talk about my experience with Swami. First of all, I will read one of his secrets, something he wrote in his energization exercises. Listen to these words, you yourself can develop an awareness of this flow of energy, learning and practicing regularly the energization exercises of Yogananda. Each one should learn these and practice them every day. You will see that you will develop an awareness of your body, and if you practice, after a period, you will be able to send consciously energy to the external, to everyone around you, through your eyes, through your voice, and through your expressions of your face. You will also be able to project a strong field of strength, an energy that people will feel when they're present in your presence. And this is what I would feel in front of Swami. I remember once I had done a seclusion. I was in a retreat for a week, and I was in a very deep state, and I did not want to talk to anyone. And Swami had given the discourse on Saturday, and I was sitting outside, and I was in a meditative state, and I was looking at him, and I could see with my eyes, I could see a strength as a light that would come through Swami and would go all on top of everyone. And I felt, this is what he is doing. Yes, the voice, yes, the explanation, yes. But what really was a transmission of energy. When I was young, very young at Ananda, something happened to me, and this made me understand that Swami was a real, true yogi, and this is what I wanted of a true yogi teacher. And we were meditating, and I closed my eyes. We were many of us, and at one point, I could feel a field of energy that would come around us and would recharge all of us. And at one point, I felt that he took it away, and then I understood that he was going to start to talk, and in that moment he started talking. In another moment, in a Kriya initiation, we were in a retreat, and we were outside. And we were outside because what happens is that when the Kriyacharyas are alone in the temple meditating, and I could feel this strength that was so dense and arrived to all of us. And I said, am I dreaming? Because easily you can invent yourself in your spiritual world. But I could just feel this strength of energy. And then I asked JAYADEV, that was next to me, I said, is it true? Is what I'm feeling, is it for you as well? And he also felt that it was so dense that you could cut it with a knife. And this, I must say, gave me fear towards Swami, because I could understand that it was so powerful. And many times he would invite us to eat with him. And for me, it was difficult to talk to him. He did not want to be an oracle, or he did not want to talk about spiritual things. He wanted to relax with friends when he would eat. And I could feel from him this strength, this power on the chest and on the head. And I almost could not feel from what I felt from him. I could feel that there was such a strong Shakti, that the yogi feels like bliss, and if he wants, he can draw it outward. Or even when he doesn't want, you can feel it. So once I was in his house, and it was one of those most beautiful moments, because he asked me to stay in his house when he was traveling. And so it was one moment that it was a seclusion for a week. I was there, and the energy I perceived, I just could not almost meditate from the energy that was there. I would sit on his couch, and he would take this energy with me towards the sky. At one point I just couldn't stand it, and I had to put on the music because this energy was so strong. I just could not do anything, and I just had to stand up and start to dance with this energy. Once we were in a hotel with him, and his room was in front of my room, and once we both came out of our rooms at the same time, and and then he said, "Oh, you like my house, don't you?" For me, this was Swami Kriyananda. I know many saints from Himalaya, and they are all very powerful, but he was casual. He would not show you, but there you had 10,000 watts, and when he wanted to project this energy, he was powerful. There are many stories that I could talk about, but I would like to conclude that he would live in this energetic reality that for us is very difficult to understand. Once we were in a restaurant, and I was next to Swami, sitting next to him, and he said, the astral world, energetic world, for me is more real than the physical. And I said, how? Like now, in this moment? And he said, yes. It's difficult to understand where they are. We have an impression at many levels, but they live the astral world or higher worlds at a completely different energetic level. And he always said, whatever I do, you can do. By doing Kriya Yoga, by doing energization, if we do it well, that we feel, so we can really have this very powerful flow of energy, because what he has done, we should do. For me, it's very important, this level of Swami Kriyananda. Some years ago, I had a very difficult health problem. I had a very strong asthma, and I tried to do everything to overcome this problem. And I couldn't sleep at night. I had this asthma that was very, very strong, and for many months I had this. And one doctor once told me, take a test on food allergies, and it came out that I was allergic to almost everything. Pasta, to almost all nuts, dairy products. I was allergic to everything, and so I started with a diet that was really, really hard. And Swami had finished in that moment the Christ Revelation book, and as every celebration we would go out for dinner. And when Swami asked me, do you want to come for dinner, my mind started saying all these full foods that I could not eat. And obviously I said yes with joy, and we went to a restaurant in Assisi. And when we would go there, the owner would put Swami's music on. And so Swami said, I won't like primavera pasta. And it has pasta, vegetables that I could not eat, Parmigiano cheese and cream. And I knew that I could not order that. And I would ask, sitting next to him, and they all, and because others had this, they wanted the same thing. Swami said, pasta primavera for everyone, and I I just knew that I was a dead man, and that at night I would have been not been able to breathe. And so all these pasta arrived. He took the Parmigiano cheese. He said, "Let's put some more on it." And he just put it on my plate. And I said, "If I have to die with Parmigiano or without Parmigiano, it's not important." So we ate. And Swami would not eat much. He would eat a little bit, and then he would share with everyone his plate. And this plate came to all of us, and I took a little bit of pasta, and Swami said, "No, that's not enough. Take more, Narya." And he gave him more. "You need to put more Parmigiano," and he put more cheese on top. At the end. And we had the second, and we had all the next plates, and panna cotta is the dessert. And at the end, we had arrived to the coffee, and he asked me, "How was your lunch?" And I said, "Oh, it was really wonderful, very good." And it was true. And I had nothing that evening. And in the next weeks, after that dinner, I never had asthma, and I did not have it anymore, ever again. The level of energy of Swami, just like Jayadev was saying, all of this would help you overcome every obstacle. It was so high and so powerful that you could eat whatever. You could. What you ate was so small in relation to the energy that was around you. And the mind, your mind identified with the energy, not on your thoughts. And when the energy would come up, when your consciousness state would be higher, because Swami would help that with his presence, then nothing would bring fear to you. Nor food, nor people, nor any circumstance. And this was an incredible example for me. When I have problems, physical, psychological, it's because my energy is low. And Swami was a great example for me, because he went through so many difficulties. He had a great life, a beautiful life, but with a lot of tests. But he overcome everything just having a high energy in communion with Master. Another story, after Swami left his body, before, a few years before Swami left his body, Swami and another Indian master, they were both in Rome, and they had like a conference, a satsang together in Rome. And in that moment, Swami asked to this saint, "I would like if you could come and visit me in my house, and I will show you my center." And so Swami, this man lived in the south of India. And so he did not come. Then on November of the same year, he came. A disciple of this master came, and he wanted to come and visit Swami as he had promised. And we said, he knows that Swami has left the body, and he came anyway. And he said that he knew about it. So he came in a very simple dress with a small blanket. He went into Swami's house, and he did not speak much. He did not speak English, and he had a disciple that would translate. And so I spoke to him of how Swami used his house, and he wanted to know how the last hours of Swami were. And I told him about everything. And he said, "Okay, now let's meditate." He sat to meditate. There, as you know, there is the chair of Swami, where there are his shoes and his feet. He turned towards the chair of Swami, and And I would open my eyes and he was smiling and looking at the chair. And I was looking at the chair as well, but I could not see anyone, but he was there. There was such a beautiful vibration, so tangible, of the presence of Swami. And I think he was there with the silence, those moments where he would read what he had written. He was sitting there, and when Sridhartha came, he knew that Swami would have kept the promise, and he came. He was there, and he could see him. I'm sure 100%. When he left, I stayed there and meditated there, and I could feel his smell, his vibration. And I asked, Swami is so close, we cannot see him with our eyes, but we can see him in every other way. We just close our eyes and he's there. And we can all be in contact with him when we wish, because he is closer and he knows us much more than what we know of ourselves. This is the beauty of having a spiritual guide, a disciple that has given us the grace to be able to be an example of disciple. This disciple will change the world. Swami had the grace. He said many times that Master asked him, he said, you will have a great work to do and I will give you the strength. And Swami said, you are all my strength, because through all of you we can change the consciousness of the world. Happy Sunday.